Awesome. We can see your screen.
Excellent. All right. So I'm Edward Jica. I'm from Santa Rosa, California. I'm a junior currently at Florida Institute of Technology, and my associate here is introduce himself as well.
Yep, we're both juniors. Excited to be here. Definitely very excited for this whole competition. So looking to get started. Go ahead, Ed.
All right. So in May of 2010, a gentleman made the purchase of 2 Papa John's pizzas for 10,000 Bitcoins. As of today, it's a purchase worth around $64 million. Now, this was a historic moment, which left its mark on the pizza industry, culminating in the creation of the holiday Bitcoin Pizza Day, which is still celebrated by the pizza industry today. So when it came time to developing a growth strategy for Coinsource, the fact that 12% of all operating Bitcoin ATMs were located in restaurants and pizzerias really caught our attention. It got us thinking, what can pizza do for Bitcoin? The first question we had to answer in tackling this question is, who gets involved with Bitcoin in the first place? As you may already know, Bitcoin succeeds primarily among the younger populations, specifically between the ages of 25 and 44. Now, this isn't to say that other age groups don't get involved with Bitcoin, but the lion's share of Bitcoin ownership, roughly 73% of all users, is represented within that age bracket. Now, some of this population has already taken the steps to get involved. They've flooded online exchanges, they've turned their home computers into mining operations, and populated cryptocurrency forums. But what about the people who haven't? The people who have heard about Bitcoin from their friends, from their coworkers and family members, the people who have watched Bitcoin grow as an asset and make the news time and again. The people who have the interest and the willingness to get involved, but lack the hardware or technical knowledge to buy into Bitcoin. After all, there is a significant, if diminishing, barrier to entry here. How do we capture these people? This, for us, is where the pizza industry really comes into play. That age group of 25 to 44 is the primary source of revenue for the pizza industry, a whopping 38% of total US sales in the year of 2019. Additionally, this age group is buying pizza as a result of a high level of disposable income. In fact, we found this demographic is shown to buy pizza as a result of having a household income in excess of $100,000 per year. These are young people that have been hearing about Bitcoin for the better part of 10 years now. And due to life and career stages, they have a significant amount of disposable income, and they're going out into their communities to express it. In this case, through the purchase of an American staple food. To describe these people, we've coined the term the happenstance consumer. This is because they've heard about Bitcoin, they're familiar with the currency, they've yet to get personally involved, but if given the opportunity, if confronted with a physical Bitcoin ATM to handle their transaction, they are more than likely going to take advantage of the opportunity. A sort of happenstance facilitation, hence the term. Now, exposure is the name of the game here. And what better place to expose these consumers to Bitcoin ATMs than in the pizza parlors they're already patronizing? Getting into the details of the pizza industry itself, if Coinsource did elect to utilize placement in pizza establishments, it would have a choice to make. The pizza industry is broken down into 3 separate distinct parts. The first are your traditional full-service sit-down and order establishments. Second are takeout and delivery restaurants. And third are miscellaneous services, comprising catering and other such restaurants. From an exposure standpoint, sit-down restaurants are the clear winner here. For the duration of the meal, the customers are in the establishment and directly exposed to any on-site ATMs. However, sit-down is a limited segment, making up only about 14% of current pizza establishments. On the other hand, you have takeout and delivery. This is a monstrous portion of the industry, comprising 54% of existing restaurants. However, targeting these does pose a challenge, as customers only enter the restaurants for a brief period of time to retrieve their food and to leave. These are customers it's a significant demographic, but getting them exposed to the ATMs is tricky. The kind of tricky that could benefit from a partnership.
So this is where we will be talking about who in particular within the pizza industry would be an ideal partner. We wanted to think a large number of locations, heavy foot traffic, and just all-around popularity were all the things that we factored in. We proposed that a negotiation with one of the top pizza chains in the US would be the best way to go. These chains include places like Domino's, Papa John's, Pizza Hut, and many more. But for this example, let's just go with Domino's. They have always been pro-Bitcoin, and they've always allowed purchases using Bitcoin under certain circumstances. And more importantly, they follow all the criteria that I listed above. Being such a large company with many locations, the possibilities of this partnership would be endless. As an added benefit, they are an international company. This could mean easy access to international expansion moving forward in the future for your company. Next, we have our trial states. Based on our research, we found that 2 shined above the rest. The first includes Coinsource's home state of Texas, which was responsible for nearly 6.6% of the pizza industry's revenue. With large clusters of Domino's locations in the state, as you can see in the pictures that we listed on the slide, and a high percentage of revenue would make this a great state to trial. As an added benefit, they're right in your own backyard as well. Second is California, which has 9.3% of the total pizza sales in the United States. It also has large clusters of Domino's restaurants, high state wealth, and a large percentage of the total pizza sales, making it another fantastic state to trial. Next, we move to wallets. And this is where Ed is going to share an experience that he had when he personally went to a Coinsource ATM.
So I had the opportunity to go out to a Coinsource ATM that's placed locally in my hometown here of Santa Rosa, California. And the registration process for Coinsource, it was easy. It took me about 5 minutes. I had no trouble getting through. But the problem I encountered was that I had to have a wallet set up to be able to make the purchase. And I wasn't actually able to buy any Bitcoin at the time. I walked away empty-handed because of this. The ATM reached that stage and there was no other resource available. And Kyle was going to explain our solution to that.
So with that said, we feel that baby boomers and everyday people will not know what these are or how to get one. This may dissuade the happenstance consumer, like Ed mentioned before, from using the ATM. We recommend partnering with an existing cryptocurrency wallet company in order to alleviate this artificial barrier. Adding a no wallet, select here for setup button, like what is shown in the visual, is just one idea on how to incorporate this system. So obviously, I'm sure you people at Coinsource can recognize this screen here. We actually edited in this bottom selection, this no wallet, select here for setup, as we feel this would be the best way to incorporate something like this. So lastly, we're going to move into our digital growth. And this is where we would like to talk about Netflix and what their growth strategy was for moving to the digital era. Netflix started out as a CD delivery company, but the CEO at the time knew that the future was going to be in digital streaming. He wanted to dominate the CD delivery industry on one hand, allowing them to gain the trust of the consumers using their brand name, while separately focusing on the digital streaming to turn them into what they are today. This would give them the ability to bring people to the digital side using their trusted brand name alone. We recommend the same approach to Coinsource. Focus half resources on physical ATM growth and the other half on digital growth. Your trusted brand name would make the transition for your customers to the digital exchange much easier. Some experts that we interviewed cautioned us that you guys might be limiting yourself by staying physical. So by that, I mean sticking with the physical ATMs. So this is our recommendation for moving forward into the digital world. At the end of the day, it is a digital asset. And with that in mind, and with the world moving more and more into a digital space, we think that, this is something you don't want to fall behind in, if that makes sense. This Netflix approach is something that would set you apart from your competition as you move forward as a company. And from here, I can speak for both Ed and I that we want to thank you very much for your time and for this opportunity. And we will now take any questions that you guys may have.
What would it look like to move into the digital space? What would the app look like? Would there be like a Coinsource wallet? What does that look like?
Specifically, what we were thinking is something like a Coinsource branded exchange. It would take the branding you already have from putting these ATMs out into the community and use it to generate one of the exchanges like you have in the online the market, but without all of that uncertainty you have with these current exchanges. Because at least in my experience, a lot of these exchanges have had problems. Some of them have gotten shut down or seized, and that uncertainty dissuades a lot of consumers. But if Coinsource could leverage their branding to move into there, that would be a really advantageous position. You could also have an app, but we're not app designers. We don't really have much input or understanding of what that might look like.
I'm curious what the genesis was of arriving at the pizza industry.
It was primarily that main story, the opening story I discussed. That was one of the first stories I heard specifically when we researched into Bitcoin. It was the first exposure I had to it, and I thought it was pretty funny. And from there, we just kind of expanded it out.
And the more reading you do, you can see that the pizza industry has been heavily involved with Bitcoin in a sense. The Bitcoin ATMs that tend to be placed in these pizza restaurants generally do the best in terms of revenue in the big cities and whatnot. That's based on research that we found and statistics that we've also found. So that was kind of, we just started to build on top of that. That's kind of why we chose the pizza industry.
If you set aside convenience stores and gas stations, which let's just argue are 24/7 kind of operations, do you feel that the pizza industry is, then top of the list of the next lucrative opportunity? And if not, what, or it doesn't matter if not, otherwise, what would be some other similar type of operations that you could add to the pizza industry?
So my personal opinion on this is the reason we went with, I personally think that the pizza industry would honestly be more lucrative than the 24/7 gas stations and whatnot. If you think about it, the pizza restaurants, even though they're not 24 hours, they're a bit of a safer spot. So you think of these gas stations, people show up, maybe not in the best area. They're at a random 7-Eleven in the middle of nowhere, or it doesn't feel like the right place to be carrying, let's say, $5,000 to put into Bitcoin. You know what I mean? But if you walk into a Domino's, you're going to pick up your pizza, you got some cash on you, or you even more feel comfortable bringing, a lot of money into a Domino's. You know what I mean? It's just safer, and that's just me personally speaking. I think any of you guys can kind of agree with that. But that's my opinion on it. I don't know if Ed has more thoughts.
In addition to that, what we found with a lot of the ATMs we were able to visit in gas stations is that the Bitcoin ATMs, they're slapped down next to conventional ATMs, and there's not much differentiation there. And from the clerks that we would talk to, they would say maybe 1 or 2 people would come in per day to use the ATMs, but most people just kind of walk past it. They would assume it was another bank's ATM, that sort of thing. That's why we look towards pizza, because there aren't any ATMs really there already, no existing cash ATMs, so it would just be the one Bitcoin ATM. There would be no issue of, is this a regular ATM, is this a Bitcoin ATM, and vice versa.
What other segments did you look at when finally determining the pizza industry to tackle?
We investigated a bit more. Sorry, Kyle, you can go ahead.
So I actually took a lot of research at the farm industry. That was honestly the direction we were going to go at first. The idea was to directly market the Bitcoin ATMs as B2B approach and have the farm owners actually, buy up these ATMs, put them around their properties, and directly market it to their workers. So basically, they're paying these workers cash, these migrant workers cash, and then getting basically their money back when they put this money into the ATM and send it back home to their families. So that was the initial idea. But then we started doing more research into the pizza industry, and we just felt it would be a better, we had more statistics on it. It was easier to find numbers, actual numbers and value to give to you guys. I think Ed might have a few more responses as well.
I know that really puts it together nicely.
Yeah. Cool.
It's really interesting thinking outside the box. I enjoyed that.
Yeah, likewise. Fantastic data and research, guys. I love the happenstance customer. I think that Ed, Kyle, both of you are most certainly talented presenters, so I really appreciated listening to both of you speak on it. I think it's definitely interesting. I love the pizza aspect of it. There is a live Twitter handle for the pizza, that same famous, or I could say infamous, pizza Bitcoin, and it tells you what its daily worth is. I think it's the handle. I mean, if you just Google Twitter pizza Bitcoin, you'll find it. But they do daily updates on how much it's worth nowadays. And yeah, it's been upwards of over $100 million for 2 Papa John's pizzas. So they better have tasted good to that guy, that's for sure. But
that poor guy, he gets slapped in the face by it every day, doesn't he?
Oh my gosh, yeah. I really like. I like this just because this is challenging, the way that I'm thinking, and I always love that. Just because I happen to, after this presentation, agree with you that there is a potential for a safer location inside of, say, a pizzeria than in a C-store. that would outweigh the 24/7 accessibility of, say, said, C-store or gas station that might not be in the greatest of areas, like you said. And the reason I feel challenged with that is because I agree with you there. However, to your point, when you said that you saw in the C-stores and gas stations a Bitcoin ATM right next to a traditional ATM, the two really do go hand in hand together very well, because the difference is that the Bitcoin ATM is a purpose-driven, it's a destination location. It's a purpose-driven customer as opposed to an opportunistic customer, which is a traditional ATM when you realize, I'm going to need cash later tonight. Let me pull out some cash right now, and I'll pay the little fee for it. So I like, when I procure locations, having them close to regular ATMs, because they do help each other make money, and that is also a selling point to the store owners, is why they want to sacrifice a 2-foot by 2-foot space in their store. But I do like your point, and I commend you guys on your research. Hands down, a fantastic presentation as well. You guys, there is public speaking in your future, I promise you, and great sales acumen. Very interesting stuff. I don't want to.
So if I can also make a point on that idea of next to the regular ATM. We see this as a way that you could also, we actually had to take it out of the memo just for space-wise, but we see it as a way that you could possibly even make more revenue on top of the ATMs, selling things like signs, big bold thing that says Bitcoin ATM, Coinsource Bitcoin ATM, to put right above that ATM in that space, either on the wall or just somewhere to get people's attention, let them know it's there. That's the main thing, because like you said, it looks just like the other ATM. They go hand in hand. It's not, a normal consumer wouldn't know. You know what I mean? So if you put that big bold letters, I think there's a way it could be beneficial for not only you and also your consumer.
No, absolutely. We are rolling out our digital signage kind of as a screensaver on our 20.5-inch touch screens right now. So that's going to really help for digital signage and exposure. So no, you were right on target with that. The digital aspect, I do have one last question. When you said exchange-based, which we kind of are a competitor, if you will, to the exchange industry. We sell Bitcoin directly to the customers, not from an exchange. That not only instills safety, it's hack-proof. We don't keep anybody's funds online on an exchange to where it's susceptible to hacking. My question to you, though, is that if you really were to focus on a digital or an online forum, say a brokerage, would that devalue the hardware, which has been our bread and butter for 5 years? Because do you think that it is two different kind of customers, a cash customer, an unbanked customer, an opportunistic customer, a baby boomer that's used to that's been conditioned to go through a traditional ATM transaction process as opposed to figuring out an online exchange for a currency that they'll never be able to see, smell, touch, or hold? Do you think that digital and online is a threat to the hardware?
I personally would say not necessarily, not as in that the hardware would still be there, it would still be present, but it's more of just as more people become educated, as you imagine the technology becomes simpler to use and it becomes simpler to take advantage of the online exchange side, that you're just offering the opportunity to the people who do choose to make that switch. But as the ATMs are still there, it's not a risk to them necessarily, at least not in my view. I don't know if Kyle has any additional thoughts on that.
I kind of right there with Ed. I feel like as the convenience becomes more of a thing for people, they're going to see that the ATMs are there. They're going to use them for years, and then they're going to realize, hey, I trust this company. I see they have this digital app, and maybe I'll give it a try. And that's kind of the bottom line. I mean, you think about banking. Now banking is mostly is digital. I can do everything from my phone. I deposit checks. I do everything online. And I feel like that was something that people didn't do. I think that was a little before my time, but didn't do. So I feel like, as time goes on, people will look and lean towards the convenience. So obviously you're going to use these ATMs. You're going to expand. You're going to get your name out there to where they trust your brand. So much so that they will be willing to take that jump to the digital side with you, not with somebody else.
Well, great answers. Great answers.
All right, so I know you guys really got started a little bit late, but it's actually just about at the 20-minute mark now. So I just wanted to thank you very much for being flexible as we got started there, and for really delivering an excellent presentation. I love the theme, to keep it consistent with the next gen and the pizza metaphor. I thought that was very cool and well done, and it's very it's very unique, and I think that'll go a long way. So I just want to say thank you once again for sticking with us and for persevering here. We're very proud of you guys, and we're looking forward to sharing the results with you tomorrow.
Awesome. Thank you guys.
Thank you very
Really
much.
appreciate your time.
Yes, thank you for your time.
Yep, we'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.
Cheers.